Yeah, what's up, people? Long time no see. It's Mr. Royce coming at you guys with another live stream. How y'all doing tonight? Y'all good? Man, OBS is tripping. As usual, man. I even did the update and still real janky. I don't know what to say. How y'all feeling tonight, man? What y'all got going on? Saying my signal was not getting enough uh, PPHs, which is bullshit, man. Cause I checked my internet speed, my upload download speed. So it's pretty good. I think it's YouTube Pilot Bureau. Not want my man, not wanting me to say what I gotta say. They don't want to hear the babble. But guess what? We're gonna babble anyway. Do me a favor, as you guys come in, hit that like button, tell your friends. We're gonna talk a little bit because a whole lot been going on. And I wanna talk about it. I've been busy with some other stuff, most notably doing some research to start up this business that I wanted to get going. So I've been working on that, putting pieces together, working in phases and stuff. Some of y'all know how it is. Some of y'all don't. But we're gonna try to make it happen. Anyway, what y'all got going on, man? It's Tuesday night and second day of the work week. And I know y'all out there like, I know. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. You know, this economy is trash. And unfortunately, we're not all millionaires. So you gotta go on out there and work. So get your ass out there and work. You know. But before you do that, sit with your boy, Babble. As y'all coming in, do me a favor. Announce yourself in the chat so I can know who's here. And hit that like button once again. I'd appreciate it greatly. You know. I think I'm gonna start doing these Tuesday night shows more often. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so the big talk around town is Kamala Harris being selected to run in place of Joe Biden for the presidency of the United States. And we see that there's a certain group, they're real excited about it. Y'all know who that group is. The most educated. Yeah, they're real excited about potential Kamala Harris presidency. They've had these calls where I guess it was 20,000 of them and 20,000 uh, black men, and then they had one with 20,000 white men, and they had one with the white women's. You know, they're all gearing up for this upcoming election, and I see it as a whole bunch of malarkey. You know, for the one job that Kamala Harris was supposed to be border czar, even though she said she wasn't in the White House, and the press saying she wasn't. The one job she had to really do that had her name on it, y'all see what it is. We got millions of migrants crossing the border every month like crazy. The overrunning stuff, major cities, the sanctuary cities, not any major cities, but the sanctuary cities. They're overrunning these cities. Out committing crimes, out disturbing the businesses, all kinds of stuff. Out there selling peace leave, you know, just out there wilding. And we're funding. How y'all feel about it? Y'all like it? Me coming from a family with Central American roots and roots in the Caribbean. I know my family members are like, they're part of family. Leave open. Straight up, man. They're like, nah, leave open. You know, it is what it is, man. Yeah. And right before this announcement was made concerning Kamala Harris, we see that presidential nominee for the Republican side and really thus far front runner for the presidency, former President Donald J. Trump. There was an assassination attempt on his life. I guess some young weirdo decided he was going to take a few shots at Donald Trump, and the DEI Secret Service did a poor job of screening and reconnoitering the area prior to the rally that Trump was at, where the where the assassination attempt occurred. And coming from somebody with a background in law enforcement and security and personal bodyguarding and stuff, these people dropped the ball, man. Just straight up, they dropped the ball. There is no excuse at what happened. And fortunately, Donald Trump survived the attack. Uh, the only real injury he had was his ear got shot. And that's because he moved his head. Had he not moved his head, this would be a very different conversation. So, salute to former President Donald Trump for surviving that attack. And hopefully, you know, he'll ascend to the presidency. As you all know, I am a Donald Trump supporter. And it's not for the person, but it's for his policies. It's for his past performance as president. I think he did a good job at the job he was doing, even with all the opposition. I think the man did a great job. I don't know about y'all, but I think he did a great job. I was able to stack a lot of money, make a lot of money during that time. Gas prices were low. It was great. It was great. I think it was pretty good. A lot of the wacky stuff that was going on in the military, he put a kibosh on it real quick, which I appreciated because I didn't want to sit there and a lot of those trainings and be having to worry about pronouns and you know people's gender identities and stuff. My thing was as a leader in the military, show up on time, be where you're supposed to be, do your job, and be accountable. That's all I was concerned about. All that, how you identify when you go home, or what you wear up under your BDUs, your AC. I didn't care about that. It was stupid stuff. It was a waste of time. And during the Donald Trump presidency, he got rid of that stuff quick. It was out of there. And it was great. It was great because at the end of the Barack Obama presidency, they started trying to usher in that stuff. And it was stupid. It was dumb. A lot of dumb trainings, and it was a lot of common sense questions couldn't be answered, you know. And so, yeah, I was glad to see it go. And when it came back, I was like, I gotta get up out of here. I couldn't wait to retire. I couldn't wait to retire. I couldn't wait to get up out of there. I was done. I was done. And what was so crazy, it was like as soon as Joe Biden was sworn in, they started sending people to places like Ukraine. They knew about the whole Ukraine situation, and I think that was, I swear it was planned, you know. Well, it definitely was planned by the Russians, but I think, you know, I think an American presence as far as our support was planned by the Biden administration, and that's what they intended to do. I was able to not have to participate in that deployment, and that, you know, I didn't have an essential MOS, so I was able to say no. I don't need to go. 'Cause I would have just been there, just taking up space. So yeah, I didn't want to go in the first place. Anyway, this whole Kamala thing. Let's get back to Kamala. Can I ask y'all a question? A question. Why do they keep calling this woman black, even though when she was elected to the Senate, she described herself as a person of Indian, South Indian descent. The videos are all over the place. Why are they calling her black woman? These are the same people who allegedly couldn't define what a woman was, but they know what a black. They had an issue with Trump speaking on black jobs, but they had no problem with this woman who decided to run as president, calling herself a black. You know, this is why you cannot take what these people say serious. None of them. The voters, the politicians, you can't take anything they say seriously. Uh, as far as what they are and what they represent, because the politicians will say whatever they think will help them get votes, and the citizenry will say they'll go with whatever makes them feel good at the moment. You know, they don't look down the line and say, "Hey, wait a minute, you know, this might not be a good idea." If this person ain't like, because they said that they had plenty to say about Trump, even though the gas prices were low, people were making more money, jobs were coming back to the country. Adversarial world leaders, uh, they really tucked tail and sat down somewhere. You know, they weren't playing with Trump. They didn't, man, they knew that dude wasn't fucking around. And they had no idea what this dude would do because they didn't own him. They didn't own this dude. And that's what I like about Trump. Another thing I like about Trump is that he understood how the Democrats work because he was one of he knew bullshit. He knew what time it was because he was one of them. Before he decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna run as a Republican and do it this way. He was a Democrat. He knew who was taking money. He knew who was taking advantage of all of the corporate tax breaks. He knew all of the games that they played. He called them out on it. It was awesome watching those debates when he jumped in Hillary Clinton's ass. He told exactly what it was they were doing and what they were about. They didn't like that. They didn't like it at all. And that's what I like about it. I mean, of course, he said stuff I didn't care about. I didn't like. I didn't particularly like. But that's all presidents. I mean, Barack Obama was a great speaker, and he would say stupid stuff. I didn't, you know. It is what it is. That happens sometimes. You're not gonna agree with a person 100%. It is what it is. So, but I digress. We're gonna continue to talk about Miss Kamala. Besides running on protecting women's reproductive rights and keeping that border, what is she actually running? What is she running on that will help the American public? What is her policy on Congress housing jobs? What is her policy on foreign affairs. Uh, She don't talk about nothing. If you go to the DNC's website, if you go to her campaign website and stuff, there's nothing there. She's an empty suit. I remember when Clint Eastwood did that empty suit monologue about Barack Obama. Kamala Harris is an empty suit. He can do the same monologue by her, and he wouldn't have to change a thing but the gender. She's not talking about it. Why do they have to hide their gender? They have the presidency already. Why are they not talking about the gender? She's already said back in 2019, she said she wasn't doing anything. Like, you know, Black Americans have been increasingly talking about reparations. They want reparations. This is a voting block for the Democrats. Why they not addressing? Why is she not addressing the issue of reparations other than saying I support us? It's been studied for like 100 years. They've done several studies. Why is she not talking about it? Why does she have a definitive position on it other than she supports the study? Donald Trump said Donald Trump had platinum plan. He said if Black Americans voted for him and helped them get another term as president, he had $400 billion in the platinum plan that was going to go to the interest of Black Americans. $400 billion. That's something. He said something. He had a position that public could say, hey, what about this? You said for the people that voted for him and that supported him because of that he became president, they could have said, hey, you know, we voted for you for this. What are you going to do? Especially if he didn't do anything. Mala said she supports the study. I don't know about y'all, but that's a big difference. That's a real big difference. That's a very big difference. But you know what? They're going to run out there and vote for anyway. They're going to put on their chucks and their pearls, all of them AKs, and they're going to be having fried chicken and fish dinners. And they're going to support this. All the simping black men who I just want to see somebody look like my mama. They're going to vote for her. All of the white people who are afflicted with white guilt, they're going to vote for her. And all the ones that are Democrats and leftists, they're going to vote for her. What y'all think about that? You know, to Republicans look at this current election as unstoppable. Donald Trump will ultimately win the presidency. I say don't get too comfortable. They stole the last one. The last election, in my opinion, was it was electioneered to the benefit of the Democrats, and we wound up with Joe Biden. What makes you think they're not going to do this again? They're already bringing in millions of people who haven't went through the proper immigration process, and they're pushing to get to enable these people to vote. They're handing out a lot of money to them. They're doing a lot of stuff to get these people to vote. And as far as rigging what they can rig and get away with, these voting machines and mail-in ballots and stuff. What makes you think that what happened in 2020 is not going to happen this time, Republicans? You all need to be vigilant, watching people, and be preparing for the worst. You don't need to be out here. This whole choice of J.D. Vance, I personally, I don't understand what Donald Trump was thinking when he chose him as the VP. Donald Trump has his reasons. I wouldn't have chosen. I think they were much better people. I think, what's that guy from Florida? McDonald. I can't think of his first name. I think he would have been a good choice. I think Gabby Tulsi would have been a good choice. I think Mike Crenshaw would have been a good choice. I think Vivek Ramaswamy, because he, I don't think he could attract, do any better attracting a new base as opposed to, in comparison to Trump. He's pretty much going to attract same people. I think with Mike Crenshaw, he would have definitely attracted the veterans vote. I think he would have been good to attract more the white male vote, more the working class vote. I think Gabby Tulsi is another one because she would attract the white women vote, and I think she's very accomplished. I think she's very sharp. She's a great debater, in my opinion. I think she would have been a better choice. Speaking of which, we don't know who Kamala Harris is running mate. Who do y'all think? The Dems have been real quiet about it. Well, they got to figure out how they're going to be able to justify switching out Joe Biden with Kamala Harris, especially when there weren't any primaries done. And before, those of you all who support Kamala Harris being swapped out with Biden, super delegates don't count. If you're going to go through the super delegates, they don't count. It's the delegates that count because the delegates hold those votes for each state, not the super delegates. It's the delegates. Super delegates are basically the money. They don't just count. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They don't count. I don't even know why they're calling them super delegates because it's kind of it's somewhat misleading. In fact, in about a week or so, the DNC will be having their convention in Chicago, and we'll be able to learn more as far as some of their strategy and who they plan on having as their VP nominee. But the thing is, they got to justify just willy nilly switching Kamala Harris, switching in Kamala Harris for Joe Biden. Right now, what they're doing is very undemocratic. And these are the people that ran on Trump was a threat to. They've been running on Trump as a threat to democracy. What they're doing is very undemocratic, you know. But me being on the constitutionalist side, a lot of what they do is very undemocratic. And I'll tell you from experience, these people are, you they're grimy and they do a lot of slick, a lot of unjust stuff anyway. So that part I'm not surprised. I just want to see how they are going to justify this. Now and this is important for basically the swing voters, the people in the middle, because we've seen what these people have done to Trump with the frivolous cases, the lawsuits, that whole the whole shenanigans that went down in Florida, what they attempted to do to uh, President Trump in Georgia, the situation in Colorado where they tried to take him off the ballot. It's going to be interesting to see how they justify. Basically, they're fucking. What do y'all think about it? Miss Baby, get these lights up. Get these lights up. And if you're feeling really brave, say something in the chat, man. You know, I want to know what y'all think, how they're going to do it. Because I am not an expert on this. I just know the little bit I know. And from what I see, as opposed to what I know, it's looking like it's going to be some more funny business out of it. So, y'all tell me what y'all think. In other news, let's talk about this Sonia Massey shit. This is yet another case of when dummy meets dummy, everybody loses. Now, as y'all know, I used to work in law enforcement in Illinois, in the Chicago area. I wasn't with CPD, but I was with the sheriff's department. And, we were out there assisting Chicago with their calls, so forth and so on. And so I'm pretty familiar with what goes on in the city. I've been to throughout the years a lot of calls of aid assist and stuff. And I've been on calls where I've had to deal with people who were having mental issues, mental illness issues, and people who were just erratic. Some people just naturally erratic and stuff. I'll say this. I'll answer the question for those of you all who may be asked, do I think it was a good decision to shoot that one? My answer is probably not. I wasn't there ultimately, and it's hard to speak for another person. If it were me, I would not have drawn a weapon to deal with that one. Not saying that I wouldn't have used some other kind of force. It wouldn't. For me, it wouldn't elevate it to using my phone for pot. And that's not to say that a pot of hot water can't injure a person, because we know that a pot of hot water can. You know, hot water, you can get third-degree burns with hot water. But at the same time, looking at what I saw, I don't think that was the right call. Ultimately, whatever happens with the officer that did the shooting, it'll be decided in court. But I tell you this much, in this day and time, particularly with an upcoming election, it ain't looking good for him. You know, I'm talking about the Van Dyke, not the Van Dyke. Van Dyke was guilty. You know. What's the guy from Minnesota? I talked about that. I think that was a bit of a miscarriage of justice. I think it was a big miscarriage of justice. And I think through appeals that they're eventually going to have to let the officer involved in that. I think they're going to have to let him go. I think that was a miscarriage of justice. This one, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be. I'm going to follow that trial because that's a complicated right there. You know, I've seen people pull knives. I've seen people pull bats. I've had people pull knives and bats and different things. I dealt with a few situations where people tried to pull a gun on me while I was in the act of doing my job, and I had to deal with that situation. but it wasn't a pot of water. So, just looking at it now from the outside looking in, I don't feel like it was enough to actually fire a weapon. Drawing a weapon, that's one thing. Actually firing a weapon, that's different. That's a different level. And there is nuance in each of the levels. I don't, I don't think firing a weapon was the appropriate thing. But again, I wasn't there. It's something I had to look into more. I think it was an excessive use of force. And, you know, if jury sees it that way, he's going to prison. It is what it is. It is what it is, you know. So that's how I see that Sonya Massey situation. On the other side, you have a lot of people with mental illness that are dealing with mental illness that police come into contact with every day in situations like that, for the most part, don't have. You know, but each situation is different, and every person is different as far as all of the people involved. But the vast majority of situations don't wind up like, you know. It's a tricky one, and I will say this: for people who are already in law enforcement, learn, take some martial arts. Take some martial arts. Uh, get into your crisis intervention training more. Uh, learn how to read people and read the environment better, because there are things you can do to shield yourself from a water attack. You know, so for people uh, that are contemplating getting into law enforcement, uh, take some self defense. Take the crisis intervention training serious. Learn what you can. Put those things in practice, and do not be afraid to put hands on. Person is doing something and they're moving in a way that you feel uncomfortable with. Grab them. Put some cuffs on them. You know, grab them, take them down to the ground. Put some cuffs on them. Take them down hard. Knock the wind out of them. That's what I say. They'll recover. Something like that, they'll recover. You know, most people just, they may be mad and stuff, but, at least nobody died. You know, you can explain that better than explain it, having to sit up and explain shooting somebody, having a pot of boiling water, threatening to throw a pot of boiling water on you, throwing a pot of boiling. It's easier to explain, slamming some woman to the ground than it is shooting. Trust me, I've had to slam women to the ground several times. You know, several times. I had to slam a woman to the ground. I was trying to get it. She was trying to, up a pistol, and she got probably slammed and cuffed. The pistol got recovered. Nobody, uh, nobody was seriously injured. She was taken to the hospital for her injury, and she was able to appear before court. I was able to explain my action. Everything was justified. You know, I think pulling a firearm was, I think it was a bad move. Um, and now this situation is going to be turned into a racial issue. The Democrats are going to they're going to attempt to use this situation as a way to activate the base, and to get them all riled up, and possibly do something stupid to where they can say, "Oh, we've got to fix this, and we have the solution," because that's what they do. Y'all know what they do. Y'all know what they do. they definitely believe in don't let a good tragedy go to waste. Don't let calamity go to waste. They believe firmly in the idea of chaos is a ladder. Shout out to Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, and they will use it to their advantage. You know, that's what they do. What do y'all think about that situation? 'Cause I will say it's a tough one, man. It's tough, you know. And as I said before, I'm an advocate with officers learning martial arts, like jujitsu, wrestling, uh, stuff like that. Uh, you know, I'm a big advocate of it. I have practiced some form of martial arts since I was 15. I'm 53 now, so yeah, I had a birthday recently last week. So your boy got older, so all you do is to be like, what's up, uncle? You old? Yeah, I'm old. And it's a privilege to be the age that I am because I know a lot of cats that didn't make it. I survived the crack wars of the 90s. The crack wars and the gang wars of the 90s. I survived military deployments. I survived, you know, gang fights. I survived working in jail. I survived a lot of shit to make it to work. So it doesn't bother me when you call me old. So what? I'm a treacherous old. Straight up. I got old for a reason. And I wasn't hiding. I was touching all kinds of dirt. It is what it is. Yeah. So, yeah, man. But what do y'all think about that Sonya Massey shit? I, I think dude is, I think he's gonna get, it'll, will it be a manslaughter? Will they charge him with manslaughter or second degree murder? That I'm not real sure of. They may charge him with second degree murder, but they could break it down to a manslaughter charge, and if they do and he gets convicted on a manslaughter charge, he'll be out 7. He ain't gonna spend a lot. With good time, he'll be out 3 or 4. You know, um, with second degree, he'll be in there a little bit longer, but it is what it is. They're not gonna give him Buck Rogers sentence. It's not gonna be first degree murder. It's not gonna be that. I didn't see the elements to justify a first degree murder charge. You know, none of that was there. So, second degree manslaughter. Yeah, I think manslaughter is definitely gonna be the one that they go with more likely because it's the easiest one for them to convict them on. I said the same. When during the Van Dyke case, when I saw it, I said second degree murder all day. I was actually in training, and I had other police officers around. Oh no, that's a good shoot, white guys. I was like, oh man, that's second degree murder all day. And what did they convict him of? Second degree murder. And a couple of guys had to come back to me and was like, hey man, you were right. I know what I'm talking about. I have the education and experience and training to know what it is when I see it. You know? So, yeah, man. So, let's talk about some other news. We talked about the immigrants. We talked about Kamala Harris. We talked about Dick Cheney. We talked about Trump. We talked about the Sonya Massey situation. Uh, what else? What else y'all want to talk about? Hey, who out there know who Dirty Folks is? I know who Dirty Folks. I know who Dirty Folks is. Dirty Folks is a wild boy. He's a content creator from Chicago. Me and him know a lot of the same people. We've never physically crossed paths, I don't think. but we know a lot of the same people. Hilarious content creator. He reminds me of Patrice O'Neal. Yeah. And then the guy is funny. Uh, he was telling the story about the time, the two times he almost got kidnapped, and the time he was in a same sex relationship and didn't know it. He was in a platonic same sex relationship. He a wild boy, man. Shout out to Dirty Folks. Hey, if y'all get a chance, go check out his channel. Dirty Folks is wild. And shout out to Minister Jap. I actually met Minister Jap in person. We chopped it up a few times outside of YouTube. Cool dude. He's been killing it, uh, exposing Kamala Harris and this election situation. I think he's been doing a bang up job. Check out his channel when you get a chance. You know, so I call into his show every so often. And run my mouth, do my babble. So yeah, yeah. So anyway, so what else y'all want to talk about? How y'all doing over there on Rumble? Do me a favor, for everybody that's on Rumble, because I'm running Rumble right now. Do me a favor and hit the like button over there on Rumble. I'd appreciate it. Yeah. Start on YouTube is freezing up and stuff on me. I, I got 5 bars on my internet, so like I said, YouTube and OBS has been acting real janky. Even with this OBS update, it's been real janky. You know, StreamYard, I really don't like StreamYards like that. You know, only time I deal with it is if I call on somebody's show and hop on a panel. I don't stream with StreamYards. I really don't care for it. Yeah. Shout out to DJ Cuda. DJ Cuda been going hard lately. He's been talking about free topics. And one of the topics he was talking about was with another content creator by the name of Anton Daniels. Y'all know Anton Daniels, he's a real popular content creator. I personally like a lot of content he does. Some people love him, some people don't like him. And but I think he's a great content creator. He does a lot of content. He had a smoke show. He had a smoke show recently. And on this smoke show, another content creator uh, called up and the smoke was about Anton's wife. And well, it was actually two parties. One was the guy was asking Anton, does he why is he saying that he has 304s and he's married? And it's funny because this content creator is married, but he's got an open marriage, so it's like, okay, where that come from? Why does that bother you? But I guess his complaint with Anton was that uh, Anton is saying that he's got 304s, but he don't really have three. And that part I understand because it's like, first of all, that's misleading to impressionable people, and we know that some people in these audiences, uh, they're gonna take whatever you say and run with it. If you say you got 304s, you got 304s, they're gonna take it as that. And that's an issue, as a married man. But like I said before, the other content creator is doing his thing and his stuff is wide open. So, um, but looking at that, you know, that whole situation, um, I think for content creators, you have to be careful uh, who, who you have around you and what you put out. 'Cause you're going to have people they're gonna take it and run with it. So you kind of gotta control to a certain extent what you say. You don't want people to either unintentionally or on purpose take out of context text what you say. It's very easy to do on your social media platform. A lot of female influencers have made a lot of money doing just that, taking things out of context, from their looks to the things that they say, so forth. So you can't expect everybody to go, "Hey, he's just running. He or she's just running their mouth." So, but that was one of the issues. The other issue was this content creator said some stuff about some pretty disparaging and unnecessary stuff about Anton Daniels' wife. Anton took offense to it, which he as well he should. You know, if there's an issue, you have an issue with a content creator. Get with that content. You don't have to bring in their family. See, look, if you don't like me, cool. Say what you're gonna say about it. I've been called worse by better people. Leave. Say what you're gonna say. It is what it is. Can't stop you from saying what you're gonna say. Conversely, content creators do well to minimize or omit uh, any involvement of their family in this content creation. You got a lot of creepy people out. I'm gonna say it. You got a lot of creepy people uh, that are voyeurs when it comes to this content stuff. And you got some people that they if you show your family or your friends and stuff, it is what it is. They're cool. It doesn't mean a whole lot to them. But you got some people, especially those with nefarious character, you know, uh, you know, you have some people that are malicious and move in that they move with malicious intent, and they're gonna take every little thing they can to try to get at you. And so, Anton talks about his wife a lot and stuff. On the one hand, he says he got it. On the other hand, he's a devoted family man, one woman man. So, so forth and so on. He's trying to be the example of how a married man should be successfully married and stuff. That's one of the things he says, and that's cool. But then, problem with that is a few things. Number one, you can't be talking about you got hoes. And number two, you got a lot of weirdos out there that want to judge your spouse, your kids, your friend, different stuff like that. And you have to be careful. You gotta be careful, man. And I think this was a situation that went a little too far for him. And he addressed it, and hey, salute to him for addressing it. Um, but I think this was a situation he could have managed a little bit better by not putting his wife out there so much. And speaking of his marriage, because you got detractors and haters and people with malicious intent, you feed them kind of weirdos ammunition. And I think that's what happened. Yeah, I think that's what happened. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? And it's especially so when you say really controversial stuff, when you say really salacious and controversial stuff, you have to be real careful to protect people that are important to you. Because, again, I mentioned before what can happen. And so, you kind of got to be an island of one for the most part. Not bring that kind of minimize people probing because they're gonna probe regardless. You got people like Grandmaster Troll. He's gonna try to dig into your business because that's what he does. He's a weirdo like that. So he's gonna try to dig into your personal business and put it out there because he thinks that's the thing to do. I personally don't like it. I don't care for it, but I've seen it, and he's not good. When he's not the first one, he won't be the last. He won't be the last. You know, you gotta kind of gotta protect the people. Anytime my guy, you gotta do a little bit better, bro. You can't change the past, but going forward, be a little more mindful, bro. You know, so you got that. What else? Uh, Other than that, you got streamer wars. You got that same content creator. Uh, you know, he's been getting into it with DJ Cuda about different things. He said some pretty negative stuff about DJ Cuda, and DJ Cuda has addressed it. And you know, I think that's just what this guy does. I think um, I think he likes to provoke and pick at people. I think that's just what he does, whatever reason. It's unclear to me, but I think that's just what he does. And then when you ask him about a lot of that stuff, he beats around the bush, answers questions and stuff. I think what he does is mostly intentional. I guess, you know, I guess he finds pleasure or some kind of compensation out of it. You know, it is. So getting back to Kamala Harris. Let me ask y'all a question. If a person, black people believe in the one drop rule, and Kamala Harris is one quarterback. She's a quadroon. The proper term is quad. You know, she's really 3/4 Indians. She's like a fourth. Her father was half Indian. He's from Jamaica, but he's half Indian, half uh, Afro Jamaican, and her mother's Indian. She was raised in an Indian environment. Um, how is she black? How is she black? Cardi B, in my opinion, is blacker than her. Cardi B is blacker than her. You know, similar roots, but Cardi B, you know, for some reasons, Cardi B is black. Kamala is an Indian. But Kamala, you call her Kamala's Kamala. I guess that's proper pronunciation. Kamala is, for all intents and purposes, she's an Indian woman and she has referred to herself as an Indian woman. So I don't really understand why she's being claimed as black. Then again, these are the same people that claim Bill Clinton is black. And Rachel Dolezal arguably is blacker than Kamala Harris, but I didn't want to claim her. You know, she did all of the stuff. The modern black American woman does it, including scamming. Y'all didn't want to claim her. Got rid of her. Got her convicted. Basically scamming and but y'all gonna turn around and vote for Kamala Harris. Arguably Rachel Dolezal has done more stuff for black people. It would be interesting to actually see what she has to say with all of this stuff going on. She's actually somebody I would like to interview. Cortez, what up, man? How you doing today, brother? Man, I'm glad you have come through. It's good to see you, man. Yeah. Uh, Cortez, why is Kamala Harris black? Help me understand. I'm missing something. You know, I'm missing something. She's a quadroon. She's only 1/4 black. She's only 1/4 black. She's about as black as Meghan Markle. And Meghan Markle told y'all she really don't identify with black experience. She's told Black America she really doesn't identify with black experience. Yet they claimed her as being black too. Why are these women black? They don't live like black people. They didn't marry black. They really didn't have that much black experience. Her Kamala's black experience really came about in college. She went to an HBCU. Uh, she pledged to a black sorority. She became black when it was convenient. She was black out of survival. She was strategically black. Meghan Markle wasn't even that. Why are these two women black? Rachel Dolezal is certainly blacker than both of them. Y'all help me understand. So they're doing to Babble what they did. Yeah, yeah. I think Kamala, I think she's playing along with it more because it benefits her. But yeah, Meghan Markle was like, yeah, okay. She don't subscribe to that one drop theory, you know. But they pretend she's black because of the position she's in. They're desperate to see BW's in a good position. You know what? I agree with that. I agree with that statement. Even though there are others, there are other black women in good position. A lot of them, a whole lot of them. You know, times you, I guess it is that whole representation. I guess that's what. Yeah, you know, it's you know, it, you know what else is funny, Cortez, is that they ain't tripping with these women having non-black spouses, you know. But we all know Barack Obama wouldn't have got elected if it weren't for Michelle. They didn't. Uh, Most black women didn't vote for him. They voted for Michelle. Byron McDonald. That's what I thought. They can't stand Byron McDonald. They can't stand Byron McDonald because he got a white wife. He's Republican. He got a white wife. They can't stand Clarence. Republican. He's got a wife. But this says yes. I remember Kamala said she wasn't black. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember when she was being announced as the first Indian American senator. She came out of her mouth. It was all the news, just like her being a border czar was all the news. But somehow now it don't exist anymore. At least in the minds of the general black American woman. In their mind. How did you change your voice pitch on the mic? Well, I had to get funny thing for this. Because I can't hear it. I don't know what it sounds like, but my old um my old mixer, the power supply went out. And so when I looked at um getting a replacement power supply, The power supply was as much as the mixer. So I said, you know what, man, I'm not paying the money I pay for that same mixer for the power supply to go out, which is a common problem with that particular mixer. So I said, let me just get a new mixer. And so on Amazon Prime Day, I ordered this new mixer, and it's got some different settings on the equalizer, and one of the settings is inflection, and uh, it was inflection, and it's got inflection. It's got a few other settings on here, so that might be what you're hearing. And then, I can't use my old mic with the new mixer, so I had to go. I got to use this lavalier mic, and it's obviously it's not as good quality in my opinion. It's a lavalier mic. It's a lapel mic. Um, so I think all of that has played a big part in how my pitch and stuff is. Does it sound decent or no? Let me know. But this that if Barack had a white wife, they would have went against. Yeah, man. He had a white girlfriend before he met Michelle. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell y'all something. With these politicians, especially these ones that become president, these people are groomed. The vast majority of them are groomed and guided. They have handlers, and you know, they their marriages are arranged. You cannot tell me that Kamala Harris' marriage to Doug Emhoff it wasn't arranged. That was an arrangement. That is 100% a business arrangement. You know, and she was groomed for this position. Don't think that she wasn't. But you're definitely right. If Barack had was married to a white woman, they wouldn't have anything to do with him. They voted for Michelle. We know that. It's no secret. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. They'll tell you that they voted for Barack because of Michelle. Barack Obama became president. Black women voted for him because of Michelle. White people voted for him because um, they wanted universal health care. Said you can't hear some points. That's because it's a cheap mic. And then to where it's at, I probably had to hold it up here. Who knows? And stuff. That's probably what it is, man. This whole thing. Yeah, it sucks. I gotta get a new mic. So on the next Amazon day, I'm gonna get a different mic. You know. But they said he tell Barack had a fake marriage and did like BWs in real life. I, yes, and there is speculation that he didn't always date women in real life. You know, So yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. There's going to be stuff that comes out in the future about Obama where uh, people are going to be giving us out straight up. You know, they he is called Bathhouse Barry for a reason. There's one guy that keeps talking about his interactions with Obama. They keep silencing and stuff. Every now and then stuff will get out. Every now and then some stuff will get out, and you know, when people go away, you know, they uh, they go the way of the buffalo. They go the way of the water buffalo or the way of the dodo bird. You know, and they come out with certain revelations about Obama. So yeah, man. Yeah. I think there's gonna be a Diddy story. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was in Chicago during the time. But yeah. There's several stories. Several. Yeah. We might have heard the same stuff, you know. So yeah, it is what it is, bro. Cortez says Barack is different. Think about it. How many men black by the mix have you seen that look like him? Um, I think him being an older uh mixed guy. I've seen older ones that kind of look like him. Um, I don't know. You know what? I gotta give it some thought, man. I gotta think about it, man. You might be right. You might be right, bro. You might be right, but there might be something to it, bro. You know. Yeah, he definitely had an alias, Barry Sotero. That pops up every now and that his alias Barry Sotero. So yeah, there may um there may be something there may be some teeth to what you're insinuating there, young man. Yeah, yeah, man. So um I mentioned Minister Jap. He had been doing a bang up job on exposing. Uh, on really addressing the Kamala Harris situation. Another person who has been really going hard and doing some excellent work. Uh, Classic Screams really is a hood service. Because even though I haven't been on here streaming, I have been in the cloud. Every now and then I'll jump in the comment section. Hood Servative been killing it. Shout out to Hood. That is one of my favorite content creators. MSKC, man. Yeah, they get it in, man. They get it in. And it sounds like I got all these content creators I like. And it's simple. I only talk about the ones I like for the most part. The ones I don't like, I don't really talk about. A lot of them I definitely try not to mention the ones I don't like by name. But Ted Smith says the Goodwill website is a hidden gem. You probably can find equipment there. Man, shout out to Cortez Smith. 'Cause I didn't even know that that is something I can look into. You know, I do Amazon guitar center and stuff like that. But the Goodwill website, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something, Cortez. I have a rental property that the majority of the furniture in the rental property I got from Goodwill and garage sale. Put that stuff right in there, man. I never thought about looking for electronics, but now that you mention it, I have think. You know what? I take that back. I did. I actually bought a VCR last year, and this is because I have old um, VHS tapes of some of my fights when I was fighting back in the days, like way in the 90s, that I can only watch on VHS. And so I found a VHS player for about $10 at Goodwill, and I bought it so I can watch some of those old tapes. You know what? I'm gonna check that out, man. Salute to Cortez Smith for bringing that up. You're a good dude, man. Yeah. I got something else we can talk about. The opening ceremony for the Olympics. Now, this opening ceremony, and we've been seeing this in a lot of the shows and different things. Like they've been like really making a mockery. They've been pushing like what would be called satanic narrative, making a mockery of Christianity. And it's like, what are these people up to? Yeah, let me check that out, Cortez. Getting back to the opening ceremony for the Olympics and these other shows like the BT Awards and the Grammys and stuff, they've been doing a whole lot of real shady, satanic looking stuff. And kind of making a mockery of Christians. And I'll say something about, I'll say this. I think Christians are going to get fed up and the pushback to get ugly, given the history of Christians. And then, ultimately, Christians have brought this on themselves because they've allowed their religion to intrude in places where it didn't need to be and people didn't ask it to, you know. So that's problematic. Um, Cortez Smith says, I'm going to be shocked at some of the prices. Yeah, I'm going to check it out in the morning, man. I'll check it out in the morning before I start doing my research. Cortez Smith says he didn't watch the opening ceremony, but he heard about it. He says, that's what I'm thinking. What are they up to? Why push this stuff? Yeah, man. I said this a few times before on this platform or other platforms. That Antichrist that Christians are looking excuse me, that Antichrist that Christians are looking for, it's not going to be a man. It's not going to be a man. I think it's going to be a woman. There are a lot of women involved with these performances, and it's like, along with a theory I have and what was going on today, the Antichrist is not going to be a man. It's going to be a woman. But Seth Smith says, why put Satanism and they don't even believe in religion? But they do. That's because they really do. They just don't like the one that's the preemptive, that's the most pervasive religion in the U.S. They just don't like Christianity. They feel Christianity is patriarchy. It's you know, all that stuff. And so I guess doing all this satanic stuff is like a push against Christianity. And it's like, okay, but you still gotta live here. And the majority of the population, majority of the population are still Christian. And they're gonna get tired of you making a mockery of what's gonna happen then. That pushback is going to be ugly, like I said before. given the history of Christians and how they do things, that pushback is gonna be ugly. These people are going too far. They're going too far, man. And the pushback is gonna be ugly. You know, I can't say what the pushback is gonna be, but I don't think it's gonna be pretty. Not at all. You know, yeah, man. I don't get it. You know, well, actually, I do get it. I just think I think it's dangerous. I think it's very dangerous. You know, um, I- and we're talking about the entertainment industry too. There's a lot of uh, Satanism and Batman Pet and Astaroth worship. A lot of witchcraft involved in it. You know, there's a lot of weird people. But that's Smith says it may be female. That's probably why they're strategically getting way more women to celebrate stuff. I'm telling you, Cortez, I strongly believe the Antichrist is going to be a woman. The Christ was a man. What is the equal opposite of a man? And people see the equal opposite of a man is a woman. Do you understand the story of Lilith? Stuff like that. I really think it's going to be a woman. But they're lucky that Christians are normally that they're like Christians aren't as normally as extreme as Muslims. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's gonna change. I think some stuff is gonna happen, and that's gonna change, especially with the people that are being invited into into the U.S. with borders being as porous as they are. We have some things being introduced into this country that people aren't ready for because they're very comfortable. I've said this before about the Ukraine situation. They're letting a bunch of Ukrainians in the U.S. Nazism is pretty big in the Ukraine. In the Chicago area, you have a place called Ukrainian Village, and for Chicago, that is the largest concentration of Ukrainians and neo. So um, that's going to be an issue. And then you got, people from the different Muslim terrorist groups coming in the country, especially with that situation that's going on over there in Israel, going to have those people over here. And if the current administration stays in power for another 4 years, you're going to see some of them get bolder and bolder. They're going to be doing some reckless stuff. You have the Chinese over here who are notorious for stealing information and working as intelligence agents. You know, not the ones that's been here like in California and Hawaii and stuff. Talking about the ones coming from mainland China that's just getting over here or they've been over here, 10, 15 years. A lot of them do a lot of spying, you know. So you're gonna have increased instances of that. Our intelligence is gonna be compromised. You got, you know, I'm seeing more Russians than ever. A lot of them. That can very well be an issue. Uh, with the South Americans coming over from the places that they're coming from. These are people who come from crime-ridden, war-torn places and who have some extreme views. And the majority of people that's coming over are military-aged men. That's going to be a problem. It's already a problem. That problem is going to grow. It's going to grow and it's going to fester. If you're working in law enforcement, you're going to have your hands full. You're going to have your hands. But that Smith says, which is why they went too hard to program women to be anti-men. Yeah, yeah, bro. Yes, there's definitely something to it. Um, there's definitely something to it. Uh, there's a lot of Lilith worship, um, just out in the open. Um, and it's actually in the schools, it's in the universities and stuff. A lot of these school teachers that are coming out, uh, been indoctrinated with the Marxism and the feminism and stuff. A lot of them are Wiccans and Lilith worship. So you're gonna see a lot of problems. You're gonna see a lot of, you're gonna see a lot of, a lot of conflict situations involving it. But that Smith says, even where I live, the foreigners are coming in way more. Yeah, man, yeah. But that Smith says, and with that, we're getting something I didn't see growing up: Mexican food. Uh, I, yeah, they've always had Mexican food. They've always been around. You might not have seen them, but they are definitely there in pros. You know, I grew up in Chicago, and I'm of Central American descent. Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Um, you're getting groups in that are actually worse than them. That's we're getting. You're starting to see the growth of the MS-13 and the Serenos and the Norteños. You're seeing you're seeing you're gonna see a lot of new gangs. I don't know what they got in Venezuela, but they have their own gang culture. You're gonna start seeing it here with them more. It's about to get wild, And man, I don't know what we're going to do as Americans. All I can say is be vigilant, observe everything, don't take anything for granted, and be prepared to deal with some ugly situations. You know, let's get back to Kamala Harris. She's got legislation to protect a lot of these groups we talked about, but there's no legislation to specifically protect Black Americans. And this is coming from somebody that really has like I said, I'm of Central American descent. I would be considered Black American, but I would also be considered a Latin. Um, you know, I'm a tether. As a Tariq Nasheed and Minister Jack like to say, I'm a tether. But you know, the thing is, I know a lot of what's coming over here, and it's not good. I know. I recently saw something with George Lopez, who is he's a Chicano, which is a Mexican, pretty much born in the United States, born and raised in the United States. Uh, he was talking about when he got in, he was like, "Hey, let them other people get in the right way. He don't even like what's going on." You know. But Ted Smith says, we were able to stay clear of them in Alabama until recently. Yeah, 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 yeah. Alabama has actually interesting history. In the cities of Monroeville and Mobile, um, they Mobile, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, used to be uh, like a sister city of Havana, Cuba, and you had a lot of back and forth with the Cubans over the years, over decades, going back and forth. Before Castro took power, it wasn't unusual for people to take um, the ferry from Mobile, Alabama to Cuba, and a lot of the actually a lot of black people in well, I'm not gonna say a lot, but there's a sizable amount of black people in Mobile, Alabama, who actually uh, have Cuban roots and are related to people in Cuba. You're not gonna know that, but do the research. Do the research because um, on my paternal side, that's the situation we have there. Um, you know, I come from I have relatives in Alabama that come from a big family in Monroeville and Mobile, and they have Cuban roots, you know. But that's because we always had the cartel here, but they were low key. Some of the new Mexicans are trying to dress like black thugs. Yeah, yeah. Thug culture is international. It is. Thug, the hip hop Southern culture is international. It's as American as apple pie. But that's just absolutely. Because we're finally getting a lot of black Mexicans. Or, funny thing is, they're not acting like thugs. When I was working in Illinois, uh, in Palatine, there was an apartment complex that they had. It was, I want to say probably, it was probably like 12 buildings in this complex, and two of the buildings were full of Afro Mexicans. Uh, I used to get calls to translate, where I would have to go there, talk, and yeah, they're Afro Mexican. And the first time I went to one of them calls, I worked with a lot of guys. I used to work with a lot of guys. They were um, mestizos, uh, Spanish last names and stuff. They look like your typical, you know, uh, you know, your typical Mexicans or Latinos. They had names and stuff, but they didn't speak Spanish. And so I would have to get the calls to come translate, and my black ass to show up. First time I showed up, um, there was domestic I had to go to translate for his family with the grandmother. Grandmother was having some issues with the other family members, and I showed up as a translator and started speaking Spanish, and the younger people in the family looked at me, and then they looked over at the mestizo officers. They looked at me, what the fuck is this? And so the grandmother, I'm talking to her. She walks up to me, she grabs my face, and she immediately she knew what it was with me. She says, "You're Honduran," and I said, "Well, that's you know, I that's part of where my family comes. She could see it. She could see it in my face and features. She could see what's called Garifuna. She could see the Garifuna features in it. And I had to go to that house a few times, and that old lady was crazy about it. She would be so happy to see me, man. And she would tell all of the family business. It was hilarious. She would tell everything, how they was mistreating her, man, and all kinds of stuff. She couldn't stand him. That old lady, man, she would have me. I can't. Uh, she didn't like. She did not like the daughter's husband. None of that. She would talk shit, man. Telling everybody in the house. Yeah, man. But yeah, that building, it was full of black Mexicans. It was full of Afro Mexicans, you know. And you know, like I had seen a few of them growing up, and I actually dated a girl that was an Afro Mexican, but you didn't see a lot of them in Chicago. That was probably the biggest concentration that I seen of. And like I said, it was two buildings, and those buildings, everybody in each one of those buildings had about 12 apartments, and they were all full with Afro Mexicans. They were all from like Acapulco and both Oaxaca. So they were both from those two places, you know. So yeah, yeah. But they like the grandmother, she knew like Hondurans and Belizeans and stuff like that, you know. So like the grandmother, she knew. It was I don't think the kids I don't think the kids knew for whatever reason, you know. But yeah, man, yeah, yeah. As far as seeing them, now where I'm at in Florida, we don't see a lot of Mexicans. Period. Where I'm at in Florida, you really don't. Like the only time I really see Mexicans is in like the Mexican restaurant. What I see working everywhere. We got a shitload of Hondurans here in in northeast Florida because they work in construction and different stuff like that. And I see them everywhere. Jacksonville is full of 'em. They all over the place. They have their own section in town in Jacksonville, like right off of 95. Um, they're all over the place. You know, they got like restaurants, clothing stores, all of that. You know, they the population is pretty big. You know, and you know 'em when you see them because a lot of them be looking like you know somebody took a Mexican and a black dude and had a they had a baby. know, but they, I know Hondurans when I see them, and Hondurans know, they know me when they see me. Uh, they they say you know your people. Yeah, as soon as I see them, I know exactly what time it is. You know, so, yeah, yeah, man, yeah. But that's what you got going on. But the I think the population of the U.S. is going to be more diverse than ever, but it's going to be more segregated than ever because that's how politics work. And it's going to be it's going to be interesting as far as like the WASP white. Uh, I think they're going to head northeast, like I think they're gonna stay around like that New York area, that northeast area of the country, and in the Midwest. I think they, I think they're actually gonna get closed, bottled in. Uh, what I will say about Mexicans get around. They don't play. They're set up top anyway. They, they find a spot that they like and they make it theirs. And, hey, I ain't mad at them. You know, I think uh, politically, I think Black Americans are gonna get squeezed. They're gonna get squeezed. They're gonna get pushed out. They're gonna lose a lot of political power. Um, and I already see it, and it's moving fast. You know, and it's gonna be messed up. You know, um, I tell you, Kamala Harris getting office. I hate to be a white man. They gonna catch. They are going to catch. They're gonna catch. You know? They're gonna be getting fired left and right. All kinds. Y'all think it was bad with me too. Woo. Yeah, I think they're gonna catch it, man. Uh, I think certain groups are gonna get real emboldened. If you're not a gay white man, you gonna have a hard time, you know, in certain places. And if you're in cities where the populations are mixed, I think you're not a gay white man, you're gonna have problems. It is what it is. So, and there's gonna be a pushback because if white men have not, if there's one thing white men do better than anybody on the planet, that is warfare. White guys, if you look at all of the wars, if you really look at European history, uh, you really look at, you look at European history. The white man, he ain't got no problem with killing millions of his own. He will go to war in a minute. They don't mess around, you know. Uh, and it's like, with what's coming up, we're going to need the white man to fight these wars. We're going to need the white man to, you know, deal with China because, man, you know, all these other groups ain't gonna want to deal with China how China needs to be dealt with, you know. So it's like, man, we'll see with this because I can see that. You know, it's crazy in Birmingham, Alabama. All the foreigners are segregated from each other, and not segregated from us. You know what? I would say when Black Americans have some money, when Black Americans are comfortable, uh, they tend to be the easiest group of people to get along with. Uh, yeah, yeah. When they are comfortable, Black Americans are easy to get along. You know, for the most part, I think they're much easier to get along with than white Americans. White Americans don't even like. I've lived around white Americans uh, for quite some time. Was in the army with them, went to school with them for you know grammar school, high school, college. White Americans don't like each other like y'all think they do. Like some of y'all think they do. White Americans ain't like that. There's a show I was watching on HBO, and um, it was a show about the British. The British, the British shit on everybody else, but they shit on each other just as hard. They like, and then when you look at the history of like hangings, lynchings and stuff, they didn't just lynch black people. They lynched white people too. White people don't. I'm telling y'all, you have to be around them to really understand them. You know, just sit back and just watch them. They don't like each other like black people think they do. White people don't. White people when the other groups ain't around, white people don't fuck with each other like y'all think they do. I say you literally know black dudes who date every race, but I never see Mexicans with Chinese people. Fun fact: in California, you see a lot of them. You see, not only there. Um, in fact, one of my martial arts brothers, he was in fact, and he's a Mexican. You know, he comes from a very famous martial arts family that's tied to Don Wilson, stuff like that. He is Mexican and Chinese. You know, Cortez said, exactly. Black people think white people are the best friends. Well, man, listen, hey, white people can't stand each other. The Hatfields and McCoys exist for a reason, and they were related. A lot of people don't know that. People hear about the Hatfields and McCoys. A lot of people don't know. If you look into the history, that was a family feud. They don't fuck with each other. Like the Civil War was primarily white people. It was white people fighting against each other. The Civil War, the World Wars, the 100-Year Wars, uh, uh, a lot of the wars that the Romans waged on people and that people waged on the Romans, that's all what we would consider to be white people. Europeans, they don't fuck with each other like black people think they do. In California, yeah, I know. I expected it there. That's why everyone there is mixed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're gonna see multi-genetic people. Um, you're gonna see a big explosion of that. Watch and see. You'll see a lot more of that instead of Asian Mexican. Done what? Right, exactly. Yeah. Um, and getting back to the white people not liking each other. If you've ever been around Irish people, they don't like English people. They can't stand it. Trust me when I tell you, they hate the English. And the English pretty much hate them. The Scots are kind of like the go between, but like straight up Irish people don't like straight up English. They don't. A lot of black people don't know that. Don't ever call anybody Irish English. Like calling a Puerto Rican a Mexican or vice versa. They don't appreciate it. It's really like calling them. Well, even if you call a black American an African, they don't. Black Americans don't get that upset. And a lot of times they rock with it, but you know, call somebody call somebody Irish English, watch what happens. You're gonna get cut. Cortez Smith says people don't even realize that there's different types of white. Ginger men still look down. They have it almost as bad as Asian. Yeah, man. Cortez said, "Yep, I was gonna bring up the Irish. Yeah, I used to work with a bunch of Irish guys, and we had a few English guys that worked with us. Man, the way they would talk, the way them Irish guys talk to them English guys and talk about them, there was no love between the two groups. Yeah, I mean, even with the Irish, I learned that the Irish from the north side of Ireland don't really fuck with the ones from the south side, and the Catholics don't fuck with the Protestants. Yeah, I didn't even realize until I started working with Italians. There's different types of Italians, other than Sicilians and Italians. You have within Italy, within the booth, you got different types of Italians. They refer to themselves as different groups depending on what part of Italy they either are from or descend from. They're very different people, you know. So yeah, man. Yeah, I don't think Black Americans really don't. They really don't look at it in that context, and I think it's an issue of exposure and stuff. Black Americans tend to look at white people as white people. Like not all of them are like. You can't really even call all white people Caucasians because not all of them are Caucasian. So, you have your different groups, and if you call them Caucasians, if they're cool, then they'll correct you. But we're not Caucasian. We're this, you know. Uh, and even with when you talk class, white people are very uh, class centered. Like and I had to break this down to a white guy. I had to really call it this, but I was like, do you notice that white people with a certain wealth and a certain pedigree, they don't mess with your kind of white people? It's like they don't want nothing to do. They don't want you dating their daughters. They don't want you coming to their event. None of that. They don't want to have nothing to do with you unless you giving them some money. When I called it to his attention, he was like, "Man, You're right. Yeah, yeah. But that's says, yep, South Italy is different. Yeah, man. I learned about the Italians, like I said, working with them, and then when I went to Italy, I noticed that depending on what part of Italy you're in, the people have a different look. You know, in North Italy and South Italy, they have a different look, and then but depending on where you are, those are different people, depending on where you are. But that's Mr. And blue collar white dudes can't stand uppity white collar. Man, I'll tell you this: rich, blacks, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants don't like the police. Who's primarily the police? Irish people. Irish people and Italians. Italians don't consider themselves white, they consider themselves Mediterranean. As a group, they're Mediterranean. Them Greeks, uh, Spaniards and stuff, the French, the Romanians, they're all kind of the same people. You know, well, they have their different tribes, obviously, but you know, they, they're not like the, they're not like the English, the Welsh and the Germanics, the Normans and stuff like that. And you know, uh, and then like the real Caucasians from like the Caucasus Mountains and stuff. Those are the people like the Slavics and you know when you think about uh, Vlad Tepes, Dracula. You know, those are real Caucasians. Those are real Caucasians. What black people be calling Caucasians sometimes be off. You know. Uh, yeah, yeah. Then you got the Russian and the Eastern European. Totally different white people. I learned from my wife that in Germany you have three different groups. You have you know, and like you have the Prussians, then you have the Germans that are you know more Germanic. The Prussians are more Scandinavian. The Then you have the Low Country Germans, which are you know they're more like when you talk about the barbarians and the stuff that was them, and then you have the Kazakh. You know, there's really three different groups of people, and that's just been a little bit my wife told. You know, and then you have the Russians. You have some of the Russians that are descendant of the Mongols. You know, they all have kind of like an Asian look. You know, so those are different white people. You know, then you got the Scandinavian. You know, um, when you're over there and you look at them, they're very different white people than the English. They, you know, you once you see them side by side, you can see the difference. They are different people. You know, um, so. And, you know, it's like Africans. You know, South Africans don't look like uh, they don't look like West Africans, and North Africans have their own look. You know, and that's because of different influences. Uh, you know, you know could be the influence from the Arabs and the the the, the, uh, the Persians and the Greeks and Romans. And then you know you got you know. Uh, the South Africans look more Asian. They tend to look more Chinese, almost. And then you got West Africans. Even if you look at people from Ghana and you look at a lot of Nigerians, they don't look like the same people. You know, they really don't. So, damn, yeah. So, but I think with Black Americans because of circumstances kind of beyond Black Americans' control. At least in the past, Black Americans have really died cognizant of a lot of that. Even, you know, this whole FBA thing is funny because a lot of FBAs don't realize they have Jamaican cousins, and that's because when you had unruly slaves that were brought over from Africa, uh, if they were too unruly and stuff when they got caught, guess where they got sent? They got sent to Jamaica and Belize. Some of the Belizeans are actually descendants of Black Americans that were sent over there by Lincoln. In the Dominican Republic, in Samaná, there's an area called there's an area of Samaná. You have what's called the Samana Americans, and these are descendants of Black Americans that left like the Philadelphia area and moved to the Dominican Republic because during that time it was the whole island was Haiti, what we call Haiti, our pronunciation is Haiti. Uh, they moved from Philadelphia uh, to the Dominican Republic, what we now know as the Dominican Republic in the Samana area, at the urging of the president because he didn't like, uh, he felt that what Black Americans were going through at that time, he didn't like it. And so he said, hey, why don't y'all come over here if you want to? And you had, like, I want to say, like maybe 800 families, if I have the story correct. If any of you all know that story, put it in the chat. But you in Samana, you have some dude named Carlos Johnson who, he looked like some dude that can be from down south in Memphis or Mississippi. His name is Carlos Johnson, and he speaks. Um, he speaks. They have their own English, and then they speak Spanish. You know, um, in 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 South Florida, a lot of the Black Americans um, down there are actually descended from Blacks from the Bahamas. Blacks from the Bahamas used to come back and forth to South Florida all the time, even all parts of Florida. Actually, North Florida. A lot of the Black people in Jacksonville actually they have relatives, distant relatives in the Bahamas because if people were traveling back and forth. I already told y'all about Alabama with the Cubans, you know, and the southern, the southeast part of Alabama, which is Mobile and Monroeville, you know, and one of the biggest families in Monroeville and Mobile have Cuban roots. They got cousins over there in Cuba. You look at them, you just think they some people, just some black people from Alabama. You know, people from Louisiana, black people from Louisiana. A lot of them have roots in Haiti. You know, a lot of them have roots in Haiti because there was a lot of sugar transport and a lot of black people being transported back and forth between Louisiana and Haiti. You know, so that whole Mississippi, the same thing. You know, a lot of those black people in Mississippi, uh, you know, uh, have roots. Um, a lot of them have roots with people from Brazil. So that whole FBA thing is funny because it's like when I hear people talk, I'm 100% FBA, I'm like, you don't even know what that means. Technically, when you say foundational Black American, what does that mean? Because South America is America, the Caribbean is America. All of that is part of American continent. Bahamas is part of America. So it's like, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. Cortez Smith says, and East Africans look way different. Yes, they do have very different looks, because of their influences. A lot of them, are Afro-Asiatic. And, a lot of them have, the roots I talked about earlier. Cortez Smith also says a lot of the black people in Alabama are mixed with Native Americans. Yeah, because you have the Choctaws down there. You have You have some Seminoles, um, stuff like that. Some of the black people in Georgia actually mixed with Taino. With the Tainos, because you had some Tainos there, and then in Florida, you had Tainos in Florida. Which a lot of people, they just think of Florida. When they think of Florida, they think of Seminoles. But before the Seminoles were in Florida, uh, which Seminoles are offshoot of the Choctaw, you had the Taino, you know, that's, um, and they have places where you can see the exhibits of actually Taino artifacts here in Florida, in different parts of Florida. Uh, but that Smith says, although teachers used to lie about being native when they were trying to say their weed was real, there's truth in it. And the funny thing about that, mm, the Native Americans really didn't mix all that much with Black Americans. Where you see the biggest mixes of Black Americans and what we call natives, actually in the Caribbean, like Jamaica, places like Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti, uh, Barbados, Saint Vincent, the Bahamas, and stuff like that. That's where you see a lot of that. As far as like the Cherokee and stuff, in fact, the Cherokee were worse to black people than were worse to black people than a lot of stories we hear about white people. Um, what happened with a lot of that was that you actually had a lot of those tribes that kept slaves, but they didn't necessarily intermix with those slaves, you know. And then you had the freedmen, like in Florida, you had the freedmen who escaped from places like Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi. They they took up refuge with the Seminoles, but they may not have necessarily mixed. There's many people that tell that I'm not from Indian. It's actually a lie. It's actually what they have in them is Scots Irish. It's Scots Irish, and DNA testing has confirmed. There's very actually, but there's just very few Black Americans that have that that'll say that, and uh, it'll actually be the truth. The blacks you do see with that are actually blacks from the Caribbean. They have a lot of that, so they actually bred out a lot of whatever natives that was there. But that's Mr. The FDA are ignorant. To read got a lot of people saying goofy stuff. Yeah, and that goes back to, as a content creator, it's like you have to be mindful of what you say and what you show because people will take stuff out of context because you can't control who's looking at your content and, you can't take for granted that these people are smart or know what you mean. Not a lot of these people are as smart as people take for granted that they are. A lot of these people are stupid, and Tariq actually plays on that. Tariq is a great politician. He's a great grifter. You know, and speaking of grifters, Umar Johnson, he's from Philly, and I tell you, a lot of black people from Philly and stuff. But he's a Pan African, so and Pan Africans have a different view than people in the FBA crowd. You know, but that's Mister. They mix with a lot of Irish here too. Probably born Irish to anything. If you're in Alabama, Cortez Smith, that is definitely the case. That is definitely. I can tell you with great confidence that is definitely the case. You know, before the English used the Irish as a buffer class. That was a lot of intermingling between blacks and Irish, um, especially when you talk about commercialized sex and stuff like that. Um, there's a lot of black people in those areas that are make more. It'll be Scots Irish. It'll be French to a lesser extent, Spanish and stuff. You see more of that stuff. Like Alabama, you have a lot of Spanish Creole, uh, as opposed to Louisiana. Louisiana has Spanish Creole. They have more French Creole. Um, Mississippi, a lot of you got Spanish Creoles there in Mississippi too. Um, but yeah, you see more of that than anything. More European and African mixes than anything. Than far more than native and native and African. You know, but yeah, definitely in Alabama. Yeah, definitely you see a lot. So they mix a lot with yeah. We read that. One. But that's just a lot of people I grew up with had certain native features. Even my grandparents were dark brown, but didn't look like any of the Africans. Yeah, Black Americans are different people. That's why I always say, that's why I always tell people African Americans and Black Americans are two different groups of people. African Americans come from immigrants. These are Africans that decided to come to the U.S. for whatever reason. And Black Americans are uh, Americans that are people of African descent who came here mostly, mostly via the slave trade. Not all of them, but most of them were not immigrants. They were captives. They were trafficked people. You know, so you got that. And so, but I think because a lot of the history of Black American migrations and stuff isn't really taught. Um, a lot of people don't know. The great granddad down here were swirling on another level. People think the best is the new. Yes, exactly, exactly. It's the, it's the open secret. It's an open secret, man. And depending on what European group was there, like with the French in Louisiana, a lot of them openly, had relationships with the African women, and and then like I say, you had the women being transported back and forth from mostly Haiti, some from Cuba, then you had the Jamaicans in the mix, I think a lot of like I said, a lot of Black Americans don't realize the relationship between Black America and Jamaica. you know, there's a lot of Black Americans that don't realize they got relatives in Jamaica. You know, yeah, yeah, a lot of them, a lot of the swirling that that's what it was. It was swirling. It wasn't. Uh, it wasn't sex crime. It wasn't the sex crime we talk about that rhymes with great. Uh, it was there were uh, certain arrangements, and yeah, there was the power dynamic, but that didn't make it a crime. There was agreements. There were arrangements that happened, and those arrangements occurred for different reasons. A lot of them dealt with influence. A lot of them dealt with finance and stuff like that. Texas is another one. I tell you, you have a lot of Black Americans in Texas with actually that have Mexican ancestors. A lot. You do have that. Then that would be a lot of the native that the Black Americans have out there. Um, you have some with you know, with the others from the five civilized tribes. Like the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Blackfoot, the Algonquins, the Seminoles, and stuff like that. But you have those, but you have a lot of Black Americans with Mexican roots as well, because especially along that border, you know. Cortez Smith says the milkman was reference to white men getting black wives pregnant when the husbands were at work. People think it was about the actual milk delivery man. That's a good one. You know what, man? I gotta look into that. I never thought of. I never thought of it. That actually, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. Yeah. But that says exactly the slave rape stuff happened, but on a much different level than people say. Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think it was as prevalent as people said. I think it was more. I think it was more. It was more agreed. It was more of a facade type thing, or it was more of a commercialized. Hey, give me some money, and I can give you a good time. You had a lot of that. You know, I think some services was being sold. You know, I know some services was being sold. You know, people say women only got great to make it seem like BWs back then weren't tasting bad. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Certain relationships hit, and this is the thing with a lot of Southern white people, which they don't like to talk about. A lot of them have black ancestors. A lot of them are the children of quadroons, and a lot of them got that black great grandmother, maybe even a African great grandfather. There's that, and they bury it, you know. Then definitely, that is definitely a factor, and that is definitely buried, and you know, yeah. But Ted Smith says, have you noticed that when a black person mixed with a Mexican, kids a lot of times don't even look mixed? Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, black genes tend to be dominant, and then when you're talking Mexicans, number one, they have, Mayan and Aztec and Incan roots, and those are darker people. So you got the melanin factor and stuff. And then, what a lot of people don't know, one of the big spots that slaves were taken to was Mexicans. So you have a lot of Mexicans that actually have African DNA, which they don't like to talk about. They tried to breed it out, but the 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 documentation is there that a lot of Mexicans actually have African DNA. You know, somewhere around, you know, anywhere between 3 and 10%. You know, and they try to breed it out, kind of like what they tried to do uh, in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and stuff. It's only until recently, especially like in Puerto Rico, where they accept that they accept and embrace the African root. That's a thing that came along. I would say like in the last 2 generations, like more the Puerto Rican uh, millennials and Gen Z are accepting of their African roots. Like even in my generation, I got a lot of relatives in Puerto Rico, a lot, and uh, those people from my family, in my family tree that are in Puerto Rico, that's from they're descendant from the Garafunas that actually uh, went from Saint Vincent to Puerto Rico, and they intermarried with the Puerto Ricans there, and you know. Um, a lot of them tried to breed out the African part, but like as of recently, they've been like, no, we're our own people, and we're all three. We are we are native, we are European, and we are African. And stuff. And it's cool to see that Dominicans have come along somewhat more. Dominicans tried to hold it off, and it's like I'm looking at I'm looking at you. I see the African inside me. The other side of the island is full of Africans. Y'all on the same island. Come on, man. Yeah. And so now you just see more Dominicans like I get. I got my grandmother. you know. Cortez says, I know it wasn't that prevalent because as soon as slavery ended, BW immediately says WM. There are stories about when the Civil War ended, what was going down. It's definitely true. Cortez Smith says the great narrative came from pro-black state propaganda movement. Facts again, Cortez Smith is batting like 1,000. He's batting 1,000. But this is information, you know, a lot of information is being revealed nowadays that was kind of hidden and, or um, rewritten. Now a lot of the truth is starting to come out about a lot of stuff like that, and it's I look at it as it's not a bad thing. It's just the truth and it's information. I mean, if you read the book, um, the Daughters of the Trade, it tells you how far back that goes, and it actually goes back further with the air. That's a good book to a great book to read. So um, remember that anti-black Dominican guy on YouTube that looked like a light-skinned black dude? No, I don't remember him. What was his name? Cortez. I don't remember that dude. So when I was in high school, my first girlfriend in high school was actually Dominican, and a sweet girl. She was a sweet girl. As this Dominican cat we went to school with. This motherfucker was as dark as me, and he would talk just a and he didn't know my background. He like found out from somebody else what I was, but at first he thought I was like he would be saying all kind of crazy. And I think it was her that told him. Like, he was like, he's actually Honduran and Belizean. He's not like American. He's damn near one of us. And it was crazy because this dude was as dark as me. Uh, his hair was kinkier than mine. You know, you look at him, he looked like a black dude named DeAndre. Yeah. And it was like, dude, do you know like who you are? And what's funny, I would love to see that dude now. I got on this shirt. It's actually Dominican flag in Africa, and that's uh, because I have 8 relatives in the Dominican Republic as well. I have 8 cousins, um, 8 distant cousins. We're like, we're like third cousins in the Dominican Republic, and you know, I got this shirt as a shout out to them. And then the creator is a guy named from Chicago. Shout out to Doc Maninoff. He's actually, he's a black Puerto Rican, and he made these shirts. But yeah, this that man, that cat, he was as dark as me. If you look at him, he's like a black dude named Jan. He's Dominican. This is like, dude, what's wrong with you? I would love to see him now. I would have loved it. Last time I went to go see, actually, the relatives I have in the Dominican Republic. I would love to, like, see him and go, hey, meet my cousin. So, but yeah, but explaining all that, like, I'll probably do a live stream explaining how my family, is broke up because I come from a very large family. And I'm one of those people. I know my cousins. all the way out to the fourth cousins. I even know my white relatives. I have white relatives in the Bahamas, you know, and because I'm a descendant of pirates, of actually one very famous pirate. Um, I'm on record as being a descendant of this one famous pirate because I'm pretty sure I had some hoes in my pretty sure I had several hoes in my family. You know, with the men, I know the men were out there bad because I got two cousins that between the two of them, they have 165 children. Two men. They fathered 165 children. I have another relative. He fathered 38 children. One in Belize. He fathered 38 children. Um, my grandfather fathered 23 children. You know, my maternal grandfather, one of my maternal grandfathers, he fathered 38 children. Yeah, no, I'm mixing it up with cousin Bertie. But no, my grandfather fathered like 23 children. You know, and of course they had them side things, stuff like that. And you know, some one night stands. Hey, them people was getting down even back then. It's like now in this day and age, we have social media, so you can't really hide all of that stuff where people, you know, where you get these people with kids over here and kids over there, and women with one chick I saw she had 7 kids by 7 different guys and stuff. You know, it's more common than people realize. Man. It's more pervasive than people want to talk. You know, and like I met I was talking to a guy before he died, 94 years old. He was a 94-year. He was a swinger back in the 20s. He was a swinger back in the 20s. Him, uh, his girlfriend during that time, and a couple of his buddies, they was all trading each other, man, like and busting down, you know. And somebody I wasn't related to and stuff. This old, old, old army vet that I was cool with, and he started breaking it off, and I was like, whoa, this was going on back then. He was like, man, this was going on before then. There was a whole lot of there's a whole lot of stuff back then. And only now we're starting to see a lot of this stuff. There's a whole lot more one night stand babies out there than people realize. But there's Smith laughing, hey, yeah, bro, hey, you know, that pirate that I'm related to, which is Roberto Compresi. I'm a descendant of Roberto Compresi. Um, uh, they know he had 300 kids. Well, I'm not gonna say they know, but he is alleged to have fathered 300 children throughout the Caribbean. You know, so I'm definitely a descendant of his. You know, look at Genghis Khan. Um, all of the people, it's like millions of people descended from this one man, Genghis Khan, in Russia. You know, you look at the slave breeding farm uh, in places like I know of in like Virginia, North Carolina, for sure. I know about the slave breeding farms there. Look at how many people, man, that may have been fathered from one guy from slave breeding. But this Mr. Lucille Bogan came out in 1928. He makes Cardi B look like the Virgin Mary. Yeah, man. So you have there's a lot that went on back in them days, man. That people only now we're learning about it, man. You know, the milkman's baby, stuff like that, man. It's some wild stuff. Hey, listen, it's late. Um, even for for us in Florida, and I've babbled enough. I'm gonna shut it down. May come back tomorrow. I don't know. Depends on what my time looks like. But man, I appreciate everybody that was here. That I appreciate Cortez Smith for co-piloting the show with me, giving me stuff to babble about. Like I said, I appreciate you all being here. Next time I go live, I'll put out, you know, some information and stuff, so you guys can attend the live. And man, I appreciate you guys. This is Mr. Royce from Royce Media. Like, share, subscribe, or don't like. Hit the thumbs down button. You know, get in the comment section, and I